In this video, I'm going to give you the 3 main problems with your keto diet and why keto, carnivore, or low-carb diets are not the solution to your fat loss problem, and they will not get you six-pack lean. So my name's Adam Bono, and today we are going to go over the actual clinical data studies that they've done in randomized control trials testing low-carb diets versus moderate to high-carb diets. And so I've worked with men around the world getting them to next-level physiques using a process of metabolism manipulation called metabolic priming. And none of these guys have used a keto diet, carnivore diet, low carb diet. They all eat a lot of carbs, and in a lot of cases, they actually lose a significant amount of weight eating more carbs. So you can check out all of our case studies online on my channel. They're all there for your information. But in today's video, we're gonna actually break it down and break down the science behind why keto diet is not going to work for you. So the problem one is that you're unsure, first of all, where your even calories or macronutrients should be. So the problem that I see in today's society is that a lot of people would rather just cut one macronutrient out fully than even try or learn how to track calories. And why this is a problem, because at the end of the day, calories do matter. If you're over-consuming on calories, you're not gonna lose weight. You're not gonna lose body fat. So most men would rather just keep it simple, and any simple-minded man out there listening to this right now can cut a carbohydrate out of your diet. It's not that hard, but you need to learn calories if you want to get to a six-pack lean shredded physique, because it matters the amount of calories that you're eating and if you are in a deficit or not. And that's the main problem I see, is that people are using keto, using carnivore as a scapegoat to not actually learn how many calories, macronutrients they should be eating. So it leads to a highly restrictive mindset and social challenges, because if you're just excluding everything out of your diet that includes a carbohydrate, how long are you going to do that for? Carbohydrates are everywhere. They're in literally everything. If you're just trying to cut a simple macronutrient out of your entire diet, then you'll undoubtedly put yourself in a position where you're maybe out to eat with the wife, on vacation, and you can't eat carbohydrates. So the actual science behind it even shows like fat, carbohydrates, overfeeding in humans, different effects on energy storage. So what this case study done by the National Library of Medicine shows is that where you actually store the most body fat is actually fat consumption. So people have this misconception about carbohydrates that it makes you gain fat. Calories make you gain fat. But when you break down the two macronutrients, carbohydrates and fat, they've even done studies that show alternative fat overfeeding has minimal effects on fat oxidation and total energy expenditure, leading to storage of 90 to 95% of excess energy. What this means is that the fat is actually helping you gain more fat. The body prioritizes carbohydrates and burning carbohydrates. And so when you think about a fat oxidation perspective, which is how the body gets rid of body fat in general after the fat is being mobilized, eating carbohydrates leads to 75-85% excess of energy being stored, which is significantly less from a percentage-wise to actual fat. So people don't actually know how many calories they're eating. They're overeating on fats, and that's why they kind of get stuck in limbo, not exactly knowing what's going on. So you need to learn how much calories you need to eat and how much macronutrients you need to eat, because each macronutrient, protein, carb, and fat, play a specific role in how you actually look cosmetically. It's the exact process that I use with every single one of my clients who come to our program. We give them correct protein, carbs, and fats for predictable progress. So even when we talk more about fat oxidation, the phrase fat burns in a carbohydrate flame. So what this phrase refers to is a scientific concept that the body needs a presence of carbohydrates to effectively utilize fat as an energy source, right? So it's effectively burning fat. And it even goes on to say that without sufficient carbohydrates, the body cannot efficiently break down and burn fat molecules. Essentially, carbohydrates acts as a necessary component in the complete oxidation of fat within the metabolic process. So even going on the impact of low-carb diets, this is why low-carb diets can lead to a state called ketosis. So at a certain point, yes, you will start to produce ketones in your body, but the problem with that is that you have to be in a low-carb diet for a sufficient amount of time for your body actually transition over to ketones as a main energy source. And going back to what I said, it's just not sustainable if you want to have a sustainable lean physique now, next year, in the decade to come. While the phrase is commonly used, it's important to note that its simplification and doesn't fully capture the complex interplay between carbohydrates and fat metabolism. So what it means specifically is that fat burns in a carbohydrate flame, your body can better oxidize fat off your body. Even moving on into problem number 2, nutrient deficiencies. The problem with nutrient deficiencies within a carbohydrate diet is digestive issues and kidney stress. So for instance, in a very low carb diet, you're probably eating a sufficient amount of fat. You probably don't even know what amount of fat that you're actually eating, but fat can actually lead to a lot of indigestion within your body. body. Overconsumption of fat leads to bad digestion. That's why you get the gut, the inflamed gut. You just feel tired and lethargic all the time. That's because fat has a very low thermic effect and it has a 9 calorie per gram, so it's very hard for the body to actually digest. But carbohydrates, on the other hand, they reduce stress and they improve cognitive benefits. So even in this case study they did, according from research from randomized control trials, carbohydrates can potentially reduce stress by influence the body's cortisol levels, with studies showing that increasing carbohydrate intake can lead to a decrease in salivary cortisol. So that also goes back to like digestive issues as well, because if you have a high amount of cortisol on your body, one, your body will not want to actually burn fat. Your body becomes highly restrictive of losing body fat when there's a high level of cortisol, but also high level of cortisol leads to an improper digestion. So even moving on, a marker of stress hormone when compared to a low carbohydrate diet, this is thought to be due to the role carbohydrates play in maintaining blood sugar levels, which can mitigate a stress response. Reduced cortisol studies have demonstrated a significant inverse relationship between carbohydrate intake and cortisol levels, meaning higher carbohydrate consumption can be associated with lower cortisol levels. So basically, carbohydrates help reduce cortisol, they help reduce stress, help with cognitive benefits of your brain because glucose runs your brain. And so like these low carb diets that you guys are putting yourselves in, you're getting poor digestion, your cortisol levels are high, you're highly fatigued, but carbohydrates are the actual mechanism to reduce that. And so in a lot of cases when clients come to us in your exact position, and listen to this right now, we give them carbohydrates, they lose a lot of weight because one, we're reducing all that cortisol and we're repairing a lot of that fatigue on your body. So even diving deeper into how the actual thyroid works. So in this study, they did a decrease in thyroid when you are in a low carb diet. So the hormone T3 within your body controls a lot of the active thyroid hormone. In the study, they even said in order to function properly and maintain an appropriate metabolism, our body produces important hormone called T3. T3 is the most active thyroid hormone, is incredibly important for glucose management and proper metabolic function. Carbohydrates actually directly impact T3 from a more scientific perspective. They even go on to say black and white, when calories and carbs are too low, your T3 levels drop. Getting enough carbs can lower reverse T3. Not eating enough carbs will increase it, thus blocking the important work of T3. And so that's why these low carb diets that you're putting you guys in, one, you get to a point where you just kind of plateau out because your body has adapted. You're no longer producing enough T3 to control your metabolism. Your metabolism has crashed over time by simply just cutting one macronutrient out. And that's the importance of understanding carbohydrates and what they actually do in your body, and why ketogenic diets are putting you in a position where you're going to get stuck, you're going to plateau out, and you're going to crash your metabolism. So going into the problem number 3, sustainability, obviously, right? So like think about this. Can you follow this keto diet long term? Can you stay eating no carbs long term? Can you stay eating no carbs on weddings, anniversaries, Thanksgiving, vacations, work trips? Can you stay eating low carbs? Majority response would say probably not. If you're following a diet that you can't sustain long term, you're simply wasting your time. Because at some point in time, you're going to come to a spot where you have carbohydrates, but your metabolism is so low and it's going to lead to rapid weight gain because harder dieting restrictions lead to higher weight relapses. And they did a study on this. Low carbohydrate diets cause obesity, low carbohydrates reverse obesity, a metabolic mechanism resolving the paradox. So in this study, let me pull this up big black and white for you. In fact, despite the enormous popularity of low carbohydrate diets such as the Atkins diet, the South Beach diet, and the Zone diet, the professional consensus is that low carb diets, when typically implies high fat diets, are more likely to produce obesity than reverse obesity. And why this is, from a more simple perspective, is that one, when you go into a low carb diet, one, it's highly restrictive, right? You can't have carbohydrates. If you have a carbohydrate, you'll gain weight because your metabolism will start to lower T3 levels and how your thyroid actually burns food. And that's why you kind of get stuck. And then you gain the weight back and you weight relapse because of that. So understanding this is kind of an eye opener to a lot of people who watch my channel, who know who I am, and the clients that we currently work with who are up significant amount of carbohydrates and down a significant amount of weight. You need to understand what carbohydrates do and how important a role they actually play in your everyday life, in your training, in your performance, how your mind works, reducing stress. And so what I want you to do right now, and I'm going to give you an action step to take this a step further to apply to yourself. What I simply want you to do is take all the fats that you're over consuming right now and put those into carbohydrates carbohydrates. Equate the calories and eat exactly the same amount of calories that you're eating, but switch a lot of those fats over to carbohydrates. I promise, within the first week, you will hit a new low. You will also feel a lot better, your energy will get better, and you'll actually start to see physical changes within your body. This is the exact process that I use with each and every single one of my clients. So if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And we're going to be posting a new video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just outlining the science on why people are stuck, how to get to that next level physique, and the education on how to sustain it long term. So make sure to turn the bell notification on, get my video on Friday, because I'm going to reveal in full how I do this exactly with my clients using carbohydrates and their metabolism to our advantage.